Hi people, it's me again obviously, more Ravenberg. As always and as usual. As you can tell based on the header again as always and as usual. The topic at hand here is magical disruption in detail. I have not extensively discussed this in a detailed clarifying manner, so obviously you'll find this video linked to the article when I experienced what I call magical disruption, but yeah, that's the best way to define it as far as I can tell. And yeah, so that is the case. In that article I gave one example in 2018 when I made the god-awful example, okay, not to take Father's name in vain, when I made the god-awful example to replace Sandalphon with another spirit, and all the negative consequences that followed. But I'm not going to get into that. You can simply view that in the original video, that situation. Okay, I'm going to discuss magical disruption in detail. When you practice magic and you do your thing and everything is going well, obviously, there is a flow, even when things aren't going well, but you know what I mean. Just generally speaking, within the scope of, or within the confines of your practice, everything is like a flow of energy. It's like having running water in a house. Everything's going fine. What happens if all of a sudden something happens? For example, a construction worker by accident makes a pipe burst or anything like that, and all of a sudden you don't have water, or water can be dirty because dirt entered your the exact pipeline that is connected to your house that provides you with running water, so indoor plumbing. Or the water can become all of a sudden hot or dry, or the water can have a funny taste based on all kinds of chemicals that can enter the main pipeline that is connected to your house, or the main pipeline that your house takes thingy from, that your house derives its water from, indoor plumbing wise. So that is a typical example. Okay, that's how essentially one's magical practice works. So you can imagine if the same thing happens as in the given metaphorical example, what can happen to someone? Imagine, and it can happen without you being at fault whatsoever in any given way, shape, or form. In any given way, shape, or form. It can happen in any manner. We're talking about any manner. Okay, anything that can happen with you, blah blah blah, etc., etc. You can simply go about your business. All of a sudden, you start the practice. You have a project in mind that you want to carry out. Through no fault of your own, all of a sudden, it turns out, for example, that project had a side effect. Just an example. Think of, hey, you all of a sudden saying, hey, I want to start the working where I can become physically stronger. As in, I want to start the working in which I become literally physically stronger. I want to increase my body weight, but purely muscular. You work with the spirit, and again, you go about the usual, etc. You simply check to see if there are any side effects. Nothing is shown. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there still is a side effect, or there is some unwanted change that did not fall within the scope of your readings, your divinations, whatnot. You're going to experience negativity like that. All of a sudden you're noticing that, hey, you're either making less money and you use magic to make money, or magic boosts your money-making abilities. You're noticing, for example, that electronic appliances aren't working properly. There are weird drawbacks, or there are weird things that are happening. All of a sudden your thingy won't work, your microwave won't work, stuff like that. You name it, any of these given things can happen. My point is, with every magical project that you undertake, anything that you do, okay, something like that can happen. Despite you going through the motions, etc., sometimes you don't literally look into the utmost detail regarding every project because it is impractical. It's like literally checking the mail every single 10 minutes. I mean, there is no person in the world that gets that much mail, physical mail, for example. You're not going to go outside, literally look at in your mailbox every 10 minutes. Oh, okay. Oh, no, that's just lunacy. That's idiocy. In that same fashion, let's just say that you get mail, but again, you check your mail once every 2 weeks because you're not used to it. And I mean, bad luck for you. You get correspondence, you get stationery, you get physical mail, and you only get it after 2 weeks because it's only after 2 weeks that you check. That's simply bad luck on your part, okay? But that doesn't mean that you're at fault. My point is, it can happen, and it's happened as well in my practice through no fault of my own. I undertake a new project, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, an unexpected drawback or an unexpected setback. And the problem is that stuff like this is really hard to identify because usually your readings don't directly indicate it. Your base level intuition will tell you. Your base level intuition will be like, hey, something's wrong. It's like an unsettling feeling, like a nagging feeling. You're going to sit, you're going to be like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. And you better believe that something is indeed wrong if that feeling does not go away in like a day or two. No. Like I said, it's happened to me. For example, simple example, I wanted to work with a new spirit, and believe me, I think it's happened in my career. It's happened maybe once a year. Once a year. Around that, once a year, once every year and a half, maybe something like that. I've also find it really annoying, but again, there's nothing you can do. Okay, no pain, no gain. This is what's going to happen if you keep progressing and keep progressing. I, for example, started Magickal projects and everything is going fine, and then all of a sudden, or I saw anything from starting a new project, working with a new spirit, all of a sudden there is some kind of disruption. There is some kind of disruption in the flow of energy. Okay, something is disrupting, for example, other magical workings to the point where things don't flow optimally. And my intuition tells me like, hey, something's wrong. That thing that you started, that thing is seeing to it that money isn't flowing in optimally, or something's wrong. In the beginning, I ignore it. I would say to myself, maybe it's my imagination, we'll see. But it's not, because after, let's just say 2 days go by, and again, my intuition keeps telling me, I keep getting a nagging feeling that I'm like, hey, something ain't right. And then when I specifically look at that in detail through divinations overall, then yep, guess what, that is the case. Turns out that change I made, for example, is indeed causing, for example, a hypothetical blockage or minor blockage, or it's causing things to not flow optimally in some department of my practice. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm going to have to make some changes, I'm going to have to revise, I'm going to have to make revisions, or I'm going to have to quit that project altogether. Okay, because obviously I can't have any of that. Yeah. Again, I've already given numerous metaphorical examples. Let me see if I can think of another example. Think about, you have power in your house, electricity. Now, imagine if you were to buy like a generator and you think to yourself, okay, that way I'm covered even when power falls out. Like a diesel generator, one that runs on diesel fuel. Okay, you buy it. Now, a week goes by and you've been noticing that the power is kind of low in your house. Like for example, if you turn on half of all the electronic appliances you have in your house, things don't work properly. The power level is so low, the level of electricity in your house is so low that, it's almost like it wants to fall out. It just, it's like the connection wants to break off. You're like, something ain't right here. And then you just sit, you're like, what's the problem? And it's only after you look at everything in detail, you're going to be like, wait a minute. Ever since this started happening, ever since I bought that diesel generator. And you look at everything in detail, and turns out when you look at the diesel generator, you unplug it, it turns out that is the reason. Okay? Power doesn't come back optimally, but it turns out that the diesel generator was responsible. It caused some kind of metaphorical short circuit that made it so that the power level in your that the electrical circuit and the general conduit, so flow of energy, so flow of electrical static in your house is dumbed down, or it died down a little. And now you have a lot of lead work because you need to notify the local power department. They need to come by to fix things, to see to it that electricity flows optimally again through your house, that the grid is working optimally, blah, 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 blah. And it turns out that they'll tell you that, hey, yeah, this specific kind of diesel generator, with some people it has happened. Okay, the employee that comes by or the representative says that he has heard cases where that specific brand of diesel generator you bought caused problems with the electrical circuit. It caused problems along the lines of what you experienced. And yeah, now you need to have it fixed, etc., and you can't use that diesel generator anymore. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass. But see, it's an example. This is another metaphorical example. That is what it's like. And unfortunately, as far as I know and as far as I can tell, it's unavoidable. You simply can't avoid this in your practice. You simply need to always be alert. That's how you avoid stuff like this. You need to always be on your toes and always listen to your thingy, your base intuition, as in, hey, what do I need to do? You know, what can I do, etc., etc. Again, it's like having a puzzle and you take out one piece and then all of a sudden, let's just say all hell breaks loose the second you take out that puzzle piece, to the point where you're like, okay, put it back, yeah. Yeah, that's put it back. That's exactly what I'm getting at. You really need to pay close attention to all of your magical workings and projects, all the stuff you do, okay? And you need to be very sure of yourself that, for example, the magical working you're about to undertake isn't going to come into conflict with all the other workings, or that it's not going to fuck anything up, bluntly put. So yeah, that's it essentially. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, as always, and as usual, and goodbye until next time.